Lights, camera, action. Welcome back, everybody. Artist Journal, July 4th, 2023. As we cruise through the sky on this rainbow path, as we look below at the clouds and that shimmering still sea, with the light, that beautiful sun reflecting on the water as we cruise forward. Welcome back, Artist Journal, July 4th, 2023, broadcasting from Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. And we are here and we are back, and thank you for all the wonderful comments. Thank you for the wonderful comments. It means a lot. You know why? Because I really didn't want to post yesterday's video. I wasn't even going to post it, and then I got some beautiful comments yesterday about the show, and we'll take a look at just a few of those, and I totally appreciate it. It just goes to show, you know, we're our own worst judge of we're our own worst judge of what is kind of good and bad oftentimes. Not always, but oftentimes. And we're our own biggest critic also. So maybe there's a lesson there for all of us. So again, appreciate it. So look at this. And it took me a while to figure out what this was. Of course, this is Spiegel's Maskinen. We all recognize the artist. And it's a combination, once you kind of look closer, it's more than a combination, it's a fusion of computers, of a retro computer, a desktop, seemingly retro, but not necessarily, but I think it's a retro computer. We can tell from the monitor size, it looked like there is a CD drive in there or DVD drive, and with a kind of a Palm office plant. And this beautiful combination of, a very cool combination of kind of retro computers and palm trees and palm plants. And that is beautiful. It is very cool. It is just extraordinarily cool. And what I really like about it, you know, often we'll see maybe the synths in the palm trees. There's that great, I think, another Argentine artist, who I'll have to dig up his work. I haven't seen new work from him for over a year that I remember. But we've seen synths and palm trees and sometimes computers and palm trees. It's nothing new for us. What I love about this, though, is it takes that juxtaposition to its logical conclusion by simply fusing the two. I mean, from a process perspective, it's quite interesting. I mean, it's as if, you know, Spiegel's just took both and then said, okay, let's layer them together and maybe got something weird like this. It is possible. And so that is just, I find it quite fascinating and cool because weirdly, or not so weirdly, it works. Like it actually works with, you know, it fuses it, it's interesting and everything. So I believe this is an open edition here. I'm not exactly sure. Technology, Nature, Antidoton, like antidote, Antidoton. Spiegel's Maskinen, 0 editions owned, 0 minted. So it looks like it's ready to go, but maybe hasn't been started yet, is my guess on this. And so there's Spiegel's Maskinen to start our Tuesday. Coming up tomorrow, I'm very pleased to announce Clown Vamp is going to be joining us on the space with Rune Tune. Clown Vamp has a big show in New York City right now, an AI art show with Transient Labs and I believe Super Rare. We'll take a look in a second here. So come hang out for that. I've just posted this and I am pinning it to my profile. So you can check this out and I'm sure it'll be super interesting. And again, anybody who's into AI and just interesting, you know, remixing art history because, of course, sorry, I just need to stop that. Because, of course, Clown Vamp is remixing art history. It's like an impressionist remix. Let's take a look at it, actually. I brought it up here. So this is the show. And as you can see, Chester Charles, the Lost Grandmaster, started June 21st. A Canvas Gallery at Oculus World Trade Center. And it looks like they had a pretty good party, an immersive AI story. And again, Clown Vamp does those visual novels, so to speak, a great term. And here is some of the work here. So, and here's the party. People having a good time in New York City. That looks like a ton of fun. So that is cool. And there is also, you can see here, you know, I don't mean to speed through this, but you can check it out on ClownVamp's feed here. But all to say, I mean, impressive location, and look at all the work ClownVamp has put into it. So go check out ClownVamp's feed, and you'll see it's a very professional looking thing. And look at this. Again, last week we had Art Matter on, right? And Art Matter makes digital files physical, makes digital images into physical art, is another way of putting it. And here we see these beautiful AI brushstrokes, and it feels like these worlds are going to collide, doesn't it? It seems like just a matter of time before, if they can't, they probably can already do this. I'm not sure, but it seems like a matter of time before Art Matter is going to be making physical paintings with this AI art brushwork, which is going to be a very surreal occasion. And look at how good it is, right? Like, look at the gorgeousness here of the paint, you know, mixing here and here as well. So it's, you know, we're seeing incredible strides here in AI art. So it's going to be fascinating. And again, it's always cool, the art history. I mean, we see kind of a Manet, or sorry, not Manet, Degas influence here with the ballerinas. Here it kind of has a bit of a Van Gogh bedroom sort of feel. There it is Caillebotte. Here, I'm not sure if that's like an early Cézanne sort of feel to it. All to say, and of course, ClownVamp's own, all to say, very cool. And we're going to look at a couple of the works as well at the end of the show. Thank you again for the comments. It meant a lot. Mortis Spiral, this should have 1 million views, dudes. Thanks for the work. I appreciate it. And again, I didn't even want to post yesterday's video, so those words are very appreciated. Great to hear from Gogolitis. Thank you, Adrian. And Bettina Verlin liked this work, like the abstract work here. Maybe I can bring it up here. Yeah, this work here. That was the favorite. This is an interesting, like, I'm still figuring out what's going on there. It was a very interesting work. And Ed Marola, always building bridges too far, hilarious. So thank you for the comments, much appreciated. Regarding our discussion on pixel art, which is getting incredibly interesting, Ed Marola, responding to yesterday's show, 100% correct, aliased pixels. So we did clear that up, and I brought it up here, actually, because I wasn't sure, and it turns out, yeah, so anti-aliasing, let's see if we can make this bigger. Anti-aliasing is the slight blur used on curved edges to make smoother transition between colors. So over here, and you see underneath anti-aliasing. So that is anti-aliasing, and Ed was saying pixel art, as part of our definition, is aliased. It doesn't use this anti-aliasing, and I think that is an excellent point. Like, this is not pixel art here. I mean, unless you were to zoom in, but like, I take the point entirely. This has the feel of pixel art. So that is a real contribution to the conversation here from Ed Marola. Also, Wasteman Goldminovich, thanks for the failed artist featurette, Adrian, and the kind words. For what it's worth, I did rather have Picasso on my mind when I drew the first one. You still got it, kid. So hilarious, because it really did have that Picasso Blue Period feel, the first failed artist work, so that is hilarious. Santiago, this is hilarious too. So again, we're having a ton of fun here. So Bulls, also known as Dem Woods, thank you, Dem Woods. Thank you, Bulls and Pocobelli, for your comment on my recent works. I hadn't started using video games for the abstracts. I just take something from what I'm doing from scratch that looks like a game landscape, and start repeating it and use as a brush. So stuff from scratch, and then probably dithered, that looks like a game landscape, and start repeating it and use as a brush. But okay, why not start today? Thank you, friend. You're amazing. And so here, it looks like perhaps Santiago is using actual video games now. So that is interesting. And, you know, it kind of brings back this idea of the importance of community, because a lot of what's happening here, I mean, it kind of reminds me of, you know, what was going on in Paris at the turn of the 20th century, when, again, you had all these artists, these modernist artists hanging out. They're in discussion, and it's kind of just like this, I would argue. where it's like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to go home to the studio and try that out tonight. I'll show you the work in the morning. That's kind of what happened here. So super interesting. So Santiago is now starting to experiment with that. That'll be super interesting to watch. And again, I totally appreciate this. I didn't want to post yesterday's show. We were probably the ancient Egypt of digital art. I love you, and I love you too, Santiago. That's really appreciated. Are you going to carry your Picasso on your spaceship? So I thought this was hilarious because I'm just kind of speaking out loud here, and it's hilarious to hear it actually, how it might sound to other people. So super thanks for the comments. McRenders, 2 more editions left. The Captain Hayes secured his Conjuring. So far, this was super interesting. So far, Mixels is doing amazing, and I'm so stoked to keep making pixel art with a combination of all my quote-unquote brushes, as Pocobelli puts it beautifully. So I believe what this means is McRenders is exporting. McRenders is exporting, and so maybe bringing in, the 3D software and pixelating it, and then here's a little bit of glitch. So combining different technologies, or softwares, we should say, and resulting in some pretty cool results here, and Cap'n picking up a copy. Just a cool work by Uxine, posted on Twitter. Exposed the disturbing effects of hype on society, prepare to be shocked. And here it is, so almost like an internet ad of sorts, and this great kind of, looks like he's got like a feedback on this that's just a really cool, almost like he's using like After Effects or some sort of video processor on this. I just thought it was a really impressive looking cursor here. Nice move, yeah. Like a martial artist there. Marcelo Pinel with a new edition of the Zodiac Museum. So just another beautiful work here. Here is, I think, was this Cancer? It was Cancer. So, of course, the crab here. And a beautiful interpretation. You see the moon kind of eclipsing here. There's us on the sea, sailing through the sky. And down here is underwater, all this beautiful, almost like a brain over here, and brains over here. So beautiful work, and some fish over here. Beautiful work from Marcelo Pinel, continuing the Zodiac Museum. So going through the entire series, that'll be an amazing accomplishment when that's finished. Levon, who I haven't seen from for a while, with a hilarious, cool painting, and this is an open edition for $27.50, and there are already 2 minted. Seen from a high school visual arts class, and actually, some of these open editions are actually pretty good deals. Levon's work sells for actually quite a bit of money, so if this is a low edition, this could turn into a pretty good deal here. So here they're teaching about NFTs, which is pretty funny. And you know what? This probably isn't at all far from reality in a classroom somewhere out there. You got to love the palm trees in the background here too, and just a beautiful digital painting here. And here are artists with their students with their canvases here. So really nice work here. And the little mask on the teacher and everything. So just really nice details, little Leonardo, Vitruvian Man, etc. Another painting, Gabby Walter, who I hadn't seen for a while either, and just an interesting work here. It almost looks like a statue, covered like the Mickey Mouse statue, trademark with the broken ear, covered in almost like oil or something, black oil or something, and probably a pastiche of sorts, and actually quite beautifully painted here. A little rougher than usual, but I think it looks pretty nice, like especially over here. Kind of has a bit of a, 17th, when they started to loosen up, maybe in the mid 17th century. I think in terms of the brushwork, I do think of Titian and Tintoretto, particularly Titian, seemed like one of the very... I sometimes wonder to myself, because I'm not an expert at all on Titian, other than seeing the paintings over and over. But it seems to me that was the period in the history of art where they started to really... It was like the first flattening of the canvas, where they started to appreciate the aesthetics of the brush stroke itself, and going from this kind of, super realism, you might say, of Michelangelo and Raphael and even Caravaggio. And then with Titian, although Caravaggio might have been later, but with Titian, you start to see, brushstrokes that are unambiguously brushstrokes, and they're representational, but they are, so the canvas starts to get flattened. And I mean, the argument is sometimes made that the progression of art to the 20th century is a progressive flattening of the canvas, and where we get to abstract art, where it's just about the and abstract expressionism, where it's all about the surface and materiality of the canvas. So all to say, this roughness is quite interesting here and quite beautiful, especially up here in the clouds as the sun kind of pours through. It has a real sort of 17th century feel to it, I think. So kind of interesting modern marks on here too. Maybe it's like spray paint. So interesting. Friendly Shadow Rat. Available for 35 Tezos on secondary. Let's just see what it sold for. 15 Tezos on primary, and was gone basically in 10 minutes. And that was an edition of 10. So nice haul for Gabby Walters. Wasteman Goldminovich, The Secrets of the Universe. Here they are. Almost like a Pandora's box of sorts, with a McDonald's cigarette in the shadow. And interestingly, these kind of feet that are ambiguously cropped here, and then a little bit of a sky maybe in this landscape. You can tell the green is kind of colored the whole way, and then the black is put over top, kind of nice and painterly, and a nice texture here too in this, what looks like a chest of sorts, a treasure chest, The Secrets of the Universe. Great title, cool work. There are 7 left. Nice piece. Love is Love by Axstone. So this was a beautiful illustration. I hadn't seen much from Axstone for a while. Super rare artist, kind of a really cool illustrator, celebrating Pride Month. And here we see rainbow flags and all the cool kind of characters and everything. Kind of a bit of a Pac-Man feel over here. I mean, there is an interesting video game feeling to this work. Like, see this almost like a Super Mario feeling. Like, you see this castle here? Like, doesn't that remind you of Super Mario? And there's a little Pepe there. And there looks like Mario and Luigi. And there they are having fun together and everything. So there's kind of an interesting, here you see it, like there's an interesting, and here with the question mark, there's a real Super Mario vibe to this work by Axstone. 2.25 ETH reserve, and Love is Love, A Beautiful Message. So that was just minted last week, so we missed that one. Great piece, great color, great concept. Again, I love this integration of Mario, and we're kind of back to video games, aren't we? You see the impact of video games on basically this generation. And Celine Signard, I believe out of Turkey, actually. And yeah, so here's the artist. And I think, yeah, we hadn't seen anything since this work quite a while ago. So good to see new work and a nice return here of sorts. Ezra Eslin, Watch Your Mouth. So just a cool, another interesting composition, also out of Turkey. And I believe out of Istanbul. And you see here just someone, I guess the person with the cigarette also has the gun here. And yeah, so, and they're just kind of hanging out in the park, seemingly, but, not quite sure what's going on there. Kind of always with an edge, and maybe a little bit of blood here around the Coke can, or the pop can, soda can. So $31.99 on secondary, and on primary sold out at 20 Tezos each. So a nice 500 Tezos for Ezra Eslin, and it probably sold out right away. That's the thing, so 25 minutes. Yeah, so pretty good. So continuing on, Daniel W., Eligos, also from the Ars Goetia. So it continues here, these unrecognizable mythological figures. And I keep thinking to myself, it's almost like Daniel W. is combining these mythological ideas. And I'm not sure, because again, it's unfamiliar. It's familiar, but unfamiliar when it's like they're recombined here. So not exactly sure, or they're just, figures that I'm just not familiar with. It seems like this myth of Solomon is being used. So just cool work here. Edition of 35 for 3 Tezos each, 14 left. And also, Kurt Hustle Collective. Let's get this started. Nice soothing work. Very nice music.
Is your cranial hologram broken? Is your cranial hologram
broken? Super cool as usual. Feeling right at home here. 1900, 1997, 900. Feeling right at home, in my view, in a contemporary art gallery. This would be like uber hip. So very, very cool. And your cranial hologram, I was like, it took me a while to actually think about that. That's probably your mind's eye of sorts. So very cool work. There's another one by Kurt Hustle Collective here. And their interesting world here, kurthustlecollective.world, khc.world/cyberslums. And here, almost again, kind of a celebration of 90s web design. And then looking at previous works, and here you even have a QR code. So just like a big demo of a website. And there you see older, the story in a story. There you see some older Kurt Hustle Collective ads on a TV over here. So all very cool, as usual, and pretty kind of mysterious, but super cool. Check this out. I've never seen this artist before, I don't think. Caving was just some beautiful geometric abstract art. I thought it was quite well done, and the title was super kind of provocative, I thought, as well. I mean, just from a formal, it's idea, like you have this kind of three-dimensional shape here, which has a strange perspective, we might say. And here, where it turns into space, is where the canvas is divided, interestingly, in the background between black and white. So just an interesting, well put together abstract piece with a great title, Sadistic, which kind of adds a whole edge to that work here. And just to see their other work, this is on Taya, and just pretty nice abstract artwork here. And some is still available for, reasonable prices here. 5 Tezos. This is 50 Tezos. I'm not sure if there are any one-of-ones here. I always like to scour for the one-of-ones. But, a really nice and cool kind of dark titles here. So just interesting artist here. Continuing on, Muji with a one-of-one, continuing the theme with the deluxe paint and the beautiful colors here. And, playing with these kind of abstract, almost sci-fi objects of sorts in kind of a, astronomical background, but they're all connected. This planet looks like a planet here. It also looks like an eye, and it's going into this. So just kind of, I almost want to call it abstract sci-fi, and this is quite beautiful how the colors come into this dithering here. And interestingly static here and then dynamic here. And so this is a one-of-one and sold for $250 to jail warden after 4 hours. So pretty good from Muji, who continues to rock it, really. Continues to make the big sales. Figments, if you blink, you missed it. It's already 35 Tezos. So this is Kappan's side project. And look, I mean, within a minute, at 777, within less than 10 minutes, they were sold out. And that was it. So this series is becoming super hot, this Figments series. And this is a pretty cool one. I mean, we have some little figures here. Again, just nice and cryptic. Cryptic pixel art here. And you see here just a little machine here and just the pixels dancing around, orbiting. And this, I mean, you might recognize this guy. This looks like a super small version of a Kappan piece, like one of those mystical works by Kappan. Let me just show you quickly what I don't know if it's going to load up here. Let's see if, so just look at this. Look at this figure here. And then we'll very quickly see if we can, there's new pixels too. I think we pointed that out yesterday. Let's just see if we can bring up, here's Kappan. So remember that figure in the middle there, and kind of reminiscent of Kappan's, of this, Oneness. Kind of looks almost, it's like a small version. So very cool and interesting from Kappan. And we go back and you see that figure. It's almost the same there. It's almost a trademark of sorts. So continuing on, here's another nice piece here of what look like electrical wires, and they're just kind of dancing around, kind of taking a mundane image and then making it really interesting with this just interesting kind of shimmering pixels, you know, in simple black and white here from Cap'n. So beautiful. And continuing on, Haiti Rocket 6-bit 0, playing with what looks like a circular brush and some beautiful dithering here, and then a very interesting grid in the background. You got to admire Haiti Rocket's how prolific he is. It reminds me of a few artists. You know, it's really impressive. Again, a lot of the people that are shown on this show are kind of on this show all the time because they're so prolific. And because they're so, it's like a self-reinforcing feedback loop. Because they're so prolific, they become better and better and better. So it becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, you see the value in being prolific here. So Haiti Rocket, edition of 13, 3 sold at 37 Tezos. Continuing on, more work from Santiago, so more just interesting abstracts here. I think this one was sent to me. I would have shown it anyway. This looks like computer games, doesn't it? That kind of looks like a computer game sample. So I'm not sure. This is from July 3rd. Now that was yesterday, so it's possible this came out after our discussion. And I think I brought it up. I did. So we haven't done this yet. So this is zooming in. And so this is what we're looking at here when we're dealing with Santiago's work. It is all dithered. So I assume those early works was him bringing stuff in and then putting it in Sprite, probably as we were discussing with Ed, and dithering everything. So just to give you an idea of what this looks like, and again, infinitely scalable. You could make this the size of an apartment building. No problem, full HD resolution. So very interesting to look at that up close. Continuing on, another one, First Sentient Gas Station on Earth. This text, I have to say, I haven't been reading a ton of it, but the text is quite good. First, and like, this is not the gas station. Again, very William Burroughs-esque. First sentient gas station on Earth, last gas station of our millennium, taken away by big dancing Muppets that repeat our names tonight. So nice combination. This is at auction for 33 Tezos, a 1 of 1. And again, it's tempting to think maybe, just maybe, these are using video games. So another huge work here from Santiago. This is from, I believe, Not a Number. Yeah, it is. N07, yeah, not a number, I believe. N07 and 4N. There are a couple. So sometimes it's hard to tell who is who. Almost like, you know what this reminded me of is like a Corey Archangel, those gradients. This seemed like a dithered version of like those Corey Archangel gradients. I'll bring them up for you because not everybody necessarily knows. Those are kind of famous early digital artworks, physical though. Corey Archangel gradients. So yeah, you see this? These are quite, famous actually. And so kind of reminiscent in its own way. And what else was interesting about what Not a Number did was the size, 1080 by 1920, which I think when you're dealing with something so minimal, every kind of decision matters. So it's nice, minimal art and conceptual art have a deep relationship because when things are so minimal, every decision is kind of an epic decision. In a sense, the less things you have in your minimal artwork, the more important each decision is. And so that's why I think minimalism and conceptual art are often linked. And so a nice touch here with the 1080 by 1920 P5JS generated dither GIMP. So a nice dither too, not just a simple, there is artistry in this gradient here. It's not just, a straight up, one and done. There's this, it's kind of, there's art to it. So nice piece and beautiful color, I might add too. It's a beautiful piece. It's a 1 of 1 for 5 Tezos. Maybe I'll pick that up. Ed Marola with a 1 of 1 for 150 Tezos. Interesting piece here, called Happy. And just interesting, again, using just making textures and everything, experimenting, and then adding eyes and a mouth and, figure. All of a sudden it's a person. Interesting architectural stuff in the background, always experimenting, great color, returning somewhat to this kind of violet and kind of neon pink of sorts. And here's another one, Picasso. So perhaps a reference to Picasso, not sure, but it's kind of like looks like an old kind of Midas, almost like a Greek mythological figure or something. Beautifully done with this great brush that he's just celebrating here. And this beautiful dithering in the background here, or beautiful little pixels, and then dithering in this gradient here, and then here's pattern. So really impressive, I have to say. It continues to be really interesting and impressive. 150 Tezos, one of one. A new, I think we might have seen this on Twitter, but a new collaboration from Nuggeteer and Manadal. Of course, Manadal does the Cat Tarot, and they've been doing all these, Nuggeteer has been doing all these playing cards. And so here is the cat, the trademark Manadal cat here, and quite beautifully done here. And then this great kind of, again, ticker here with the announcement of who is the title and the artist. So just very cool work here. And it has been burned, but maybe they put out another edition. Continuing on, Pamela Cerrone from Argentina, as we learned yesterday, cinema. Really cool work here. And again, it always feels like this kind of cut up paper. So it's interesting, all this like hard edged kind of pixel-esque work here by Pamela. And this stuff is quite popular too. And so just an interesting combination of what could be kind of like, interesting GIF pixel art, but with paper texture. So cool title too, Cinema. And this sold at auction for only 20 Tezos, so good deal there. Check this out. I thought maybe Pamela was, Japanese, but it does seem Japan-inspired, perhaps. Hard to say in the text, but out of Argentina, and just kind of a cool video game feel to this one. So again, being super prolific, Pamela is back and is producing a ton of work, and it's selling well, and it's just really cool. So kind of cryptic. And I like that. Grand Derby kind of has a video game feeling as well to the whole composition, right? You have the scores on top, and then you have and just even the layout. Very interesting. This was cool too. Fornax Void Mercurius Machina by Fornax Void. Okay, so that is the artist name. Kind of back to this video game theme. Bit of a medieval vibe, but with a train that goes through it. Very mysterious, isn't it? Like a modern pool, but this looks like a knight. This looks like a princess. Even this flag looks like a medieval times you see down there with the horses. So, what that looks like to me is something that's very similar to what we saw that opened this show. A bizarre fusion, or an intense fusion, shall we say. This is like a fusion of medieval and contemporary imagery, representation of a city or a hotel, right? Or an inn. It's almost like a combination of medieval and contemporary versions of an inn, interestingly. And it makes a pretty interesting novel result. Again, back to this qualitative science. We're actually learning something when we start to make these hard, what I want to call it, it's more than a juxtaposition. This is a fusion, a mixing, a mingling. Continuing on, Sonso ETH, also known as Saint Sonzo. I thought this was just an interesting pixel artwork. Now, they posted a work by, this is Kim Asendorf, okay, Kim Asendorf. And I think we've seen work by Kim Asendorf before. So pretty cool. Let's see if there's volume. There's no volume. And yeah, just like a really interesting pixel artwork. Dynamic. And you see, and how long does it go for? It goes for 30 seconds. So we can't watch all of it. But you see just how interesting this is. And I'll just scroll through a bit of it. And you see how it changes over time. So Kim Asendorf with some very cool animated abstract with a pixel art flair to it. Another interesting pixel artist, I think Cap'n once again, who's on the case. If you go to Cap'n's feed, you're going to find a lot of interesting pixel artists. Picked one of these up, I believe, The Scavenger by Emmy Pixel. And this is an edition of 5 and available for $6.50. There's one left. Again, just more of this experimental pixel art would hang really well with, I think, Element Lee is the name, right? And just like this wild kind of freehand pixel art. Quite beautiful. And here it looks like some kind of light that is shining out, and then you get the reflection on maybe snow. Hard to say. Very impressionistic. And continuing on 180 by 180, scaled up by 10. Very cool. Here's other work actually by Emmy Pixel. So yeah, just that one really stood out. Some other just really interesting pixel art experiments here. You see a bit of a mech.txt influence here, and I mentioned that because the next person also, this is actually also by Emmy Pixel, Ditherings. This is beautiful, just a beautiful landscape here from Emmy Pixel. So a new pixel artist that we haven't seen before, at least on this show, and this is very cheap. This is probably for a 1 of 1. Buy for 0.035, minted 9 days ago. So if you want some very affordably priced pixel art, check that out. I wanted to bring this up too. Favum. See, retweeted by Cap'n. GM collection, not sure what that says. The fusion of minimalism and pixel art, combining simplicity and precision for visually captivating compositions. Michael Micasso inspired me to pursue pixel art. Yeah, I think he's inspired a lot of people. You can see it. And here's just a beautiful, image of what looks like maybe a Japanese building here, available on Tezos in an edition of 10, and I'm not sure if it's been released yet. And it is already sold out at only 3 Tezos, so a very nice piece here, Nocturnal. New one from Phosphor Operator and Native Ed. It seems like it's surprising they've never worked together. They're like a hand in glove there, so I can hardly tell who is who. So a very nice combination here. So very cool work here. Phosphor Operator, the Phosphor Tour, collaborative works from the two, and available edition of 40 on secondary for 16 Tezos. So that is impressive. Sold out at 4 Tezos quite quickly, it looks like. Continuing on. Ilya Bliznets with another AI and digital painting work, just another scene of chaos that I'm trying to put together into a single puzzle. So continuing to experiment here with AI and digital painting. So it's very interesting to watch this, and there are a few artists that combine this. There's What Is Iana, there's Graphica.png, and others. Very interesting. I was using Midjourney, I should add, and the turbo function is unbelievable. It speeds everything up and makes it much more, you can do so much more in an hour than you could before. Clown Vamp. So this is part of the show that is in New York, and I thought I would show a little bit more about what's going on here. This sold for 1.8 ETH on June 27th, and I think this is called Dear Theo. Kind of reminiscent of Van Gogh and the chair, but as if someone is on the chair, but even more in the, not so much the painting style, but in maybe the composition a little bit, although the painting style a little bit in the color here of that blue and that yellow, which maybe if the white was slightly whiter. So very interesting, and actually it does feel pretty Van Gogh-esque. So beautifully done here from Clown Vamp, and a nice sale on top of it. 1.8 ETH. And here are other works from the collection here. So you kind of see different impressionists here at work. Again, with ballerinas, you always think of Degas. But who knows? We're going to find out tomorrow what's going on in this whole show. I am speculating. Mo Wellington, Boredom. Read limit exceeded. Okay, so more Twitter references here to your limitations on Twitter. And so here, just another cool AI artwork from Mo Wellington. Always using this figure here with the mustache. Boredom. And this is an edition of 15 and accepted offers of 40. to 15. So nice haul here. Very nice. So Mo Wellington, I remember when we first started looking at the work, it wasn't, it's really, it shows that if you stick around, you can really build an audience. Venta as well. Like I felt like Venta took a bit of a break at one point, and here just doing beautiful work, Red Room, more of these kind of 3D looking works here, and just skulls and almost like a, Play-Doh type look here in sculptural sort of works. Interesting composition. They keep getting more and more complex is how it feels. Venta times AI, so Venta is, I assume, editing in there too. Interesting work from Shilly the Kid, and you can even zoom in on it. And Game Piece Lineup Black Series, this is an edition of 1, and it combines several works that Shilly the Kid did. I thought it was just kind of an interesting, I assume this is a GLB, yes, GLTF binary file. So just kind of interesting here. And here, if you go to Shilly the Kid's page, you can see all the individual works. And they were in editions of 100. I'm not sure if they've been sold yet. And that brings up another, like the trash can here. I don't know about you, but I saw in my Tezos wallet, all of a sudden I have a bunch of trash coin. So maybe if you bought Trashworks in the past, you get there's an airdrop. I'm not sure if it's worth anything, but something to check out. And of course, you know who this is, Demon Ego, and I believe this was not one of unlisted works. It's open to private sale on Object. Beautiful color. And here again, we see the combination of physical and digital. It seems like digital here, this seems quite flat, and then physical underneath, combining them quite well together. And this looks like almost like one of those printer experiments, test copies, where you see this on the side. So beautiful work as usual, and some dithering combined in there. So maybe that was printed. Not sure, or maybe that's digitally put on top. Keeping it interesting from Demon Ego, and the color is excellent. And I even like how the cutting board underneath is incorporated into the work. So just very interesting hybrid of physical and digital. Turning to physical, another artist from Kristen Hellergerdy Gallery, Lisbon this summer. Here's a work on paper by Joachim Official. So we saw a couple by Joachim Official. Beautiful work, isn't it? Simple but beautiful. It looks like a postcard, but a brilliantly beautiful postcard with this streetcar here and graffiti on it. It's brilliant. It's so simple, so brilliant. So just another great find from that gallery. And that is your show, everyone. Thank you for joining me once again. Clown Vamp tomorrow on Twitter Spaces. Come hang out. It is pinned on my Twitter. Thank you once again, and until next time, take care.